Hello there, Lothar here. This video is going to be on my favourite topic for the desert, and that is sun umbrellas, sun coverage. Now, this is very much a tool. There's a short one and a long version. You either love them or hate them. Now, I'm going to give you the case for sun umbrellas and why I find that they allow me to hike much longer, for longer durations, much more comfortably in the desert, and also I'm also going to give maybe an idea of just why it doesn't always work for people who hike of different styles. Now, so sun umbrella is basically silver covered on the outside. This is an old one. I've been used for the last 4 seasons on and off, and it obviously reflects sunlight. It gives you direct shade. Now it means I can take my hat off, I can take my neck buff off, and I can get, literally as I'm sweating, it literally evaporates as I'm hiking, and I get beautiful sun protection. Now, some people might elect to have a hoodie. Now that gives you the sun protection, but you still have that sweat going into the fabric, and it just feels, for me personally, it feels clammy. But I know a lot of people hike that way, and because they don't like sun umbrellas. Now, the way a sun umbrella can be used is that you'll sometimes see people hiking along with their 2 trekking poles, and they'll have a clip kit whereby you can clip the main part of the sun umbrella to your backpack, so they can basically hike like this. Now the problem with that is that if there's 0 wind, then it's fine. But a lot of the time, you ever get a light breeze. You might be walking along and you go, ooh, a light breeze. It's a lot of the time, if the wind is too high in the desert, you just pop the sun umbrella down. But there's a huge part of the day whereby you'll find that the air movement is negligible, but it's blisteringly hot. So what I do is I actually don't use the clip kit, because the clip kit allows me to basically, it forces me to sort of rely on the fact that, oh, if it does move, I've got to move with it. I'd hold the umbrella like this with one hand, and I use a trekking pole like this. And then other times I might go, oh, I'll swap that, and I'd move the trekking pole like that, and I just put a second trekking pole down the side of my water bottle. As soon as it gets windy, to the point where you're literally getting buffeted about, you just pop it down, shove that down by my water bottle, and pull my trekking pole out and carry on. Just pop my hat back on. The sun umbrella gives you an opportunity to hike closer to the hotter parts of the day. So I can hike probably from about 10:30 till about 3 in the day, in the peak of the desert. With this shade, I still sweat, but because my head is open, it evaporates quicker, and because I've got direct sunshade, it's great. Most of the time I'm hiking past people who are siestering because they just want to stay out in the direct sunlight. This keeps you out of the direct sunlight. At least reduce it. It gives you it reduces the general temperature around you. Now, I've heard some really strange arguments say, oh, because it's an umbrella, it reflects the sunlight coming back from the ground, and kind of going, no, look up physics. Okay, do a physics degree. I'm sure some element of very small percentage reflects off the ground and comes up, but it's not then collimated back into it and heats you up. This is removing the direct sun off your body, and this is a great tool. But I do appreciate that if you're one of these people that likes 2 trekking poles all the time, the clip kit can be frustrating. I wouldn't use a clip kit personally. I tend to do hike, and I will move around, and I might swap and do hike. That allows me to get hiking all the way through the day, and I can take a siesta if I want. But with this, I very rarely feel the need to. The other time I'll give you examples where it's very useful, specifically on the PCT. The first early sections you're going through. Now, there's a place called Sunrise Highway. Now, that can be very exposed and very windy because it's on top of a hill, on a ridge. Now, on the days when I hiked on 2 seasons, there was no air movement at all. I popped it up. There's no tree cover, nothing. You are direct sun exposure. Most people were siestering. I popped the sun umbrella up. I could continue on. The hike down to Scissors Crossing, which is about mile 77, and climbing out and up to a place called Gate Water Cache. That's exposed. I used a sun umbrella, but I was using 1 trekking pole. The other time, I use it pretty much every day for at least an hour, a couple of hours around the hottest parts of the day. And the one notable place where I always remember, or the two notable places I always remember using it, is the descent from San Jacinto. So that's where you're descending from Mount San Jacinto down to the desert floor, and it's a long descent. It's pretty much an all-day descent. It feels like it. In exposed sunlight, and a lot of people do that in the early morning or the early evenings, or start it and then siesta. With this, I went all the way down, and when I got to the bottom where the desert wind was high, as soon as the wind started getting too much, I felt a little bit buffeting. I put the sun umbrella away, pop it in the silent pot, pull out my second trekking pot, or continue on with my hat on. So yes, there are times when it's windy, but the times it gives you, the extra hike time it gives you, and in Mission Creek as well as another place I used it, and so many hikers as I was walking past them with a siestering said, oh, maybe they'll consider a sun umbrella. Until you actually use it, if you're married to hoodies, then this probably isn't for you. I wouldn't go for there's two versions you can buy. The versions where you can buy which are full length, or you can get these double folded compact ones. Don't go for these. These aren't very strong. This has, as I said, lasted 4 seasons. Yes, the silver's all worn off, but it still works as a sun umbrella. I'm probably due for a new one. And also be very careful when you're listening to people about sun umbrellas. I had a very frustrating conversation online with a person who was hiked the PCT, and she said, you can't possibly use a sun umbrella on the PCT. It is too windy. It never stops blowing. Absolute rubbish. I live here, okay, and I've hiked 4 seasons with it. You can find several hours a day on the hottest parts of the day when you want a sun umbrella, you're able to use it. And if it does pop up, the wind picks up, you just pop it away. This is a true asset. The only downside is if you're in a group and you're the only one having one of these and everyone else is using hoodies and they're taking siestering, then you're probably not going to feel the benefit of this, because you're going to want to siesta with your friends. So that's the only downside. Maybe it's not so very social thing to do if you're the only one who's got one. But I would definitely consider that. But as you say, you'd have to change your hiking style, and I think the clip kits are part of the problem, in the fact that you do need perfect weather for the clip kits to work, whereas in normal conditions, if you're happy to hold it against your chest and then swap it during the day as you go along, then it's a great tool to have. Anyway, preaching over. I will let you make your own mind up on that one.